Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the heart of African chess. Prepare to take a look back at one of the most dramatic upsets in the recent memory. A spectacular clash between Kenyan national champion Mehul Gohil and the legendary Egyptian Grandmaster Essam El Gindy at the 2019 4.2 Zone in Video Chess Championship. Refusing to be intimidated by the significant rating difference, Gohil, playing with the white pieces, initiated a sharp, aggressive Benon-like setup as both players fought fearlessly for control of the board. However, it was Gohil's relentless pressure and precise attacking play that proved to be the decisive factor. In a heartbreaking final sequence, he unleashed a series of powerful threats that left the Grandmaster's king completely exposed, securing a memorable victory that cemented Gohil's reputation as one of Kenya's strongest and most determined players. Essam El Gindy is a decorated Egyptian chess grandmaster and a true legend of the game. A former Egyptian and African champion, he has represented his country in multiple chess Olympiads. His long and successful career has seen him compete in numerous high-level events, including the FIDE World Chess Championships and the Chess World Cups. While Mehul Gohil is a prominent Kenyan chess player, renowned for his aggressive playing style and notable achievements. As a two-time Kenyan national champion, he secured victory in this prestigious event in both 2014 and 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the heart of African chess. The bad boy of Kenyan chess, Mehul Gohil, from Kenya, opened the game with 1d4, and we see c5 from Essam El Gindy, the legendary grandmaster from Egypt, bring us to the Benoni defense after playing d5, e6, trying to undermine the center, c5 fighting for the center, d6, knight c3, bishop comes to e7, and after e4, dominating the center, we see bishop f6, bishop d3, and in this position, bishop c3 should have been considered, but he played knight e7. Mehul played knight g2. Knight comes to g6. Short castling from Mehul, and in this position, e5 should have been considered, but he played short castling. f4 from Mehul, knight a6, trying to bring the knight and then launch a thunderous attack on the queen side. Bishop e3, knight b4, bishop b1, e takes d5, c takes d5, and after rook comes to e8, he played a3, hitting on the knight, and in this position he played knight a6. Knight g3 should have been considered, putting an eye on the f5 square and also defending the pawn which is on e4, but he played queen d2, and the GM, Essam, played b6, bishop c2, knight c7, e5 should have been considered, which was going to be a hoo-la-la move. For example, bishop h4, rook comes to d1, rook f8, knight comes to e4, knight comes to e8, g3, bishop comes to e7, e6, we could see f5, and after knight comes to g5, at least this could give white a huge advantage. After knight c7, he played rook comes to d1, and now we see bishop a6, rook f2, and in this position, knight b5 should have been considered, but he played bishop h4, g3, bishop comes back to f6. I would like you to take some time and guess the move Mehul played in the position. In this position, the bad boy of Kenyan chess, Mehul, played e5, opening up for the bishop and also trying to expand further in the center. D takes e5, another brilliant move. He played f5, hitting on the knight. And after knight comes to f8, he played another one. d6, hitting on the knight. Knight comes to d5. And in this position, knight takes b5 should have been considered, but he played bishop f4. For example, in case of knight takes b5, bishop takes d5, knight c3, hitting on the bishop, bishop c6, bishop e4. This could give white a huge advantage. But however, after knight b5, he played bishop f4, pinning the knight against the rook. Knight d4, bishop takes rook on e8, queen takes e8, bishop takes d4, he takes d4 should have been considered, played c takes d4, knight d5, he played bishop b7, but however, queen d8 should have been considered, putting an eye on the bishop, but he played bishop b7, knight takes f6, opening up the king side, g takes f6, and in this position, rook c1 should have been considered, taking control of the c column, but he played g4, and now the GM sees the opportunity to play queen c6, slicing down the board and threatening checkmate in 1, knight g3, Knight d7, queen h6, trying to bring the knight on h5 and threaten checkmate in 1. King h8, opening up for the rook to come and defend, and also a hit on the pawn which is on d4. Rook c1, queen takes d6, he played rook c2, but however, h3 should have been considered. So after rook comes to c2, GM El Gindy played the strongest move. He played d3, hitting on the rook, and now he's ready to go ahead to queen the pawn. Rook f2 should have been considered, trying to secure the checking square from the queen, defending the king. But however, he played knight h5, and in this position, GM El Gindy played rook g8, defending from the checkmate. Mehul played another super move. He played rook c8, queen g7 is checkmate in 1. That's why you see bishop takes c8, then rook takes c8, queen d4 should have been considered. For example, after queen d4 check, we could see king f1, queen takes g4, rook g8 check, and after king takes g8, knight g3, e4, this could be winning for Essam. But however, after rook takes c8, knight f8, queen takes f6 should have been considered, knight takes f6. In this position, threatening checkmate in 1, and in this position, Grandmaster went on and played rook g7. And it was in this position that the Grandmaster Essam resigned in the winning position. The Grandmaster resigned because of this combination. He thought that in case of queen takes rook, king takes knight e8 check, blocking the king and the queen, and in case of king going back maybe to g8, then knight takes d6 could be winning for Mehul. But he had forgotten that there is the immediate d2, which is unstoppable. After rook g7, still the only move they have is king f1, and in case of pawn comes to d2, then we could sacrifice the queen, and in case the queen, you have no time to take the queen on d2 because the looming checkmate, which is going to happen after rook takes f8. That's why you are forced to take queen takes f6, and after rook takes f8, the game is still equal and both players have equal chances. And this is the game which Mehul won, and the Grandmaster withdrew from the tournament instantly because he felt he wasn't fit for the tournament. How could he miss such an opportunity to win the game? Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your games.